Were you naive in believing that a man your age would want to cultivate and co-create a relationship with you? If you find yourself asking this question, take a walk with me. And no matter what I say on the topic, there's always going to be a yeah, but, a what if, or that's not all people. Those three things will generally take you down a thought pattern that you've been before, and it's very circular. And there's a lot of creators on these apps that'll throw out case studies and statistics about relationships and mate selection, and they'll lead you down this path of thinking, God, am I just not enough? And I want to remind you that you are enough, you've always been enough, and you will always be enough. This question originated from my 21-day self-love challenge. And we ended up having 22 speakers in 22 days who were coaches, therapists, authors, and podcasters. We had the opportunity to talk to experts about attachment theory and grief, masculine and feminine dynamics, and how they impact our relationships. And the whole point of the program is for you to think about the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that keep you feeling stuck and to challenge them. What are your core beliefs about relationships? Are you willing to cultivate enough self-awareness to see your own patterns in those relationships? Are you willing to explore, accept, and even admire all the different parts of you? Are you willing to hone and develop your own discernment? Do you know your goals, values, and standards for a relationship with you? And do you know your boundaries? And with those boundaries, are you willing to honor them when someone is bumping up against them? It's really easy to listen to all these other creators as they give you all this information and say, ha, see, I knew it. That's why I'm single. It actually has nothing to do with me and everything to do with everybody else. And we start to formulate this opinion and outlook that all of these particular people of this particular age group only want the same thing. And it's not me. And what you have to recognize is that people are deeply nuanced, especially when you're building, cultivating, and co-creating a new relationship with someone. And this is where I challenge you to look at the relationship that you have with yourself. What is the inner dialogue that you tell yourself about the world that you live in and who you are? Do you know who you are? What intentions have you set for yourself in all areas of your life? Do you know who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, and why you're doing it? You see, as we age, that dating pool gets smaller and smaller, and for a lot of different reasons. They still have young children, and you're not prepared to go into that with them because you've already done it. So even though that person might be amazing for you, you're not ready or prepared to go through that with them again. You find someone who was a late bloomer in life and they're amazing, but they still want all of these things that they didn't get to have in their 30s. But you already did that, so that relationship's not for you. You find someone who's a 10 out of 10, but you don't align on things that are deeply important to you. But all that means is they're just not a 10 out of 10 for you. So instead of getting bothered by all the various types of information that are out there, I want you to start asking yourself what's true for you. For this stage of life, have you made a list of what you want from a partner? And are you willing to turn people away and reject them if they don't line up with that list? I've had this with several of my coaching clients where they're in this place of a scarcity mindset and they find themselves saying, but what if this is the best that I can ever do? Well, then you're going to be miserable because you already don't respect that person. You're going to hang on to somebody who's going to love you and deny them the ability to find someone who's going to love them back at the level that they deserve. And I want to remind you of this. What's for you is in the work. You have to develop yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that work is going to look different for all of us because we have different nervous systems. Tools that I've found that have worked for me may not work for you. The one thing that has worked for me is acknowledging and recognizing what is for me and then being okay with rejecting that. Are you willing to say no to a 7 out of 10 so that you can have a 10 out of 10 based on your criteria? And you don't need 100 people. You need one. So stop focusing on what everybody else is saying and doing and start focusing on what's right for you. You can have the relationship that you want. You just have to be willing to accept that you're worthy of having it. And it's not going to look like any relationship you've had before. But you can only get there through doing the work. If this message resonated with you, make sure you sign up for the 21-day self-love challenge. It is now $50 off through December 7th.